Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, Patrick and Mark will do a podcast for you, but you gotta buy a new couch first. We're talking Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, joined as always by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. Mark, how's it going?
It's going really good.
Yes, going really good.
Really well. I do that
boy.
every week, and every week I'm like, gotta fix it. So this is the week I'm working to improve myself.
Right, because good, as we all know, is an adjective and not an adverb.
Right.
Mark.
You cannot be doing good. Well, I guess you
can be doing good. Right, but that means that you're like doing good deeds.
Yeah, which I am.
Good.
But that's not what I meant.
Right.
Yeah.
Mark always up to some good deeds.
I'm doing good and well.
So we're here to talk about Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. I have to check myself every time to make sure I'm saying the name of this game correctly.
Right. We won't even say the other thing that we sometimes call it in case we
slip into it. But
Pocket Camp. Look me in the eyes. Let's say it.
Okay, here we go.
Pocket Camp. Pocket Camp.
Camp. It's very tempting.
It's hard.
It's very tempting to say the wrong one. But if you're bound to have some experience with this game, so we would love to have everyone else's feedback. We are going to be including our friend codes in the episode description here. So let's all be friends. Let's be animal friends and all of that. But your impressions of the game should be typed up into a neat little email and sent to Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. So we can talk about it on the show.
Or take advantage of the expansive 280 characters allowed for you on Twitter.
Whoa. And tweet at us. We are at NinCart Society. Or if you want to head on over to the Facebook page. The Facebook page.
I'm sorry, are you writing a comic that's trying to comment on modern things but can't use the actual name of the company?
Oh, interesting. I was thinking that I was trying to combine Facebook and fake news into one thing and just call it Fake
Oh,
Book.
yeah, Fake Book.
Get
your facts straight, Fake Book.
Yeah, Mom. Moms are active on Facebook, right?
Yeah, and Facebook we're raising us.
That's right. What was I driving at here? What was the point?
Oh, send us your feedback of Pocket Camp, Animal Crossing Pocket Camp.
Right. On the Facebook, we are just Nintendo Cartridge Society. But that's as good a pivot point as any. Let's start talking about this game. So this thing was kind of a surprise.
Yeah. We knew that it was lurking in a nebulous late November release date.
Nebulous November. And yes, when this episode comes out, we will be the last day of November. So we knew it was going to have to come out before today.
Right.
On Monday, Nintendo was like, oh, maybe it was Sunday night. They were like, game's going to come out on Wednesday, day before Thanksgiving. We were all like, cool. And then on Tuesday, it was like, there. It was just there, and we could download it. What's going on with the mobile release strategy for Nintendo's games here?
I don't know. But do you think it matters? Do you think it matters for mobile, like to have like a hard street date like it does for other games?
I mean, I don't know. They stuck really hard to the Mario Run release date. And I remember that being like a day that I like counted down to, but also like Fire Emblem Warriors, I remember that being sort of like a soft thing. And
well, it was also Fire Emblem Warriors was weird because at the direct it was like Heroes was weird because it was coming in the direct it was like coming to Android first and then later on iOS in spring, and then it was like 5 minutes after the direct it was like just kidding.
Simultaneous release. And this game has been available in Australia for the last like month or so. So I mean, and it's easy enough to set your phone as to go into the iTunes store or the Apple store and buy it under the Australian store. So I know that some people have been doing that. So it's been sort of a soft launch anyway. So I guess maybe it doesn't matter if it comes out on Tuesday or Wednesday.
I don't know, and this is based on no information, but I feel like mobile titles are built more on like word of mouth, right? And like what your friends are playing versus the hype of like a blockbuster game.
Sure. Well, and also there's no, especially for a game like this, there is no immediate buy-in. So like there's no, day one, you're not making your money on the front end. You're making your money like throughout the course of people playing.
Right. It's not like a movie or, where like day one sales are super important.
Right.
It's the long tail.
Right. So we both picked up this game because it's fun and free and cute and Animal Crossing, and we do a show about Nintendo. So Mark, you're a big Animal Crossing fan, right? You would describe yourself as like a big booster. What was your first Animal Crossing game?
Wild World. So the DS one was my first Animal Crossing game, and then City Folk was that the Wii one.
The Wii one.
Yeah. So I received that as a gift. Hated it.
Yeah.
I don't know, for some reason it's and then of course picked up New Leaf. Rather recently. You can go back and listen to me talk about it.
Yeah, I think we both got into New Leaf right around the time that the
Welcome
expansion
Amiibo came out. But I don't know. It's a game that seems to be perfect for like mobile platforms, handheld systems.
Yeah,
and So I am a really big fan of Animal Crossing and was excited to see what it looked like on mobile.
So let's talk about that. What does it look like on mobile? So how do you want to approach this? Do we want to talk about how it differs from our expectations of an Animal Crossing game, or like how it kind of fares as a mobile title? Because I feel like it's interesting in both those ways, right?
Yeah.
That like, so let's talk about it in terms of an Animal Crossing game. It's obviously like more limited in features, right? You can everything's very transactional, right? Like and I know this is true of all Animal Crossing games, that you are trying to do things or buy things for people or to impress people or whatever, and everyone's like super materialistic, all these animals that you run into that are adorable, but they all want what they want, right? And the whole game is about like amassing wealth and things.
Well, okay, so that's that's one way to play it.
Yes,
for sure. And so, but that's not how I play Animal Crossing.
Sure.
In general. So, because Animal Crossing in past incarnations is a much more laid back game. It's not so transactional based, or doesn't have to be as transactional based as Pocket Camp. As Pocket Camp is. So the things I enjoy doing in Animal Crossing are like planting flowers, going fishing, digging for fossils, and building up your museum. Like, I don't bother that much with trying to buy a bigger house and paying off Tom Nook. I don't bother that much. Like I send gifts to
Mark's comfortable in debt.
I send gifts to, like the neighbors, and I like want to interact with all of them, and I will buy things that I like and think are cool. But for me, I don't play the game like my goal is not to acquire as many things as possible. And as a mobile title, like you mentioned, I think this game is very transaction based. Everything is a transaction.
Yeah.
And that really turned me off of it initially.
Right. Yeah, because I mean, basically the way the game works, you are still like collecting things, right? You're still like finding fruit or insects or fishing or whatever. But it seems like all of that is being done in the name of giving those things to the animal friends to raise your friendship level with them, and then eventually buying things, crafting things so that they will visit your campsite. And then as you do that, as more animals visit your campsite, your level goes up and you have access to more little areas for you to visit, which in turn brings more animals back to your campsite. And that's the gameplay loop on this. I don't know. I don't necessarily find any of the like resource gathering to be super fun, right? Like going around and like shaking a tree to pull the fruit off of it or whatever. I don't know. It's not a super exciting way to engage with a game. And when I find myself doing that so I can bring an animal back to my campsite, realize that sounds creepy. Trying to bring an animal back to my campsite. Yeah, I don't know. The game is cute, but I don't know if I'm feeling like the magic of it just yet.
Yeah, well, and one interesting thing that it does is it makes like the RPG elements that I guess were always in the background of the game and brings them very much to the forefront. So this idea of like leveling up your friendship levels. So in an Animal Crossing game, before this, when you interact with animals, I'm sure in the code somewhere the game is taking into account like how often when you are visiting them, right? And that like encourages the that animal to stay in the town and like all that kind of stuff and friendship levels. All of that was taking place in the background. There were ramifications, like if you didn't visit somebody very often, they might decide they want to move out of the town. But Animal Crossing Pocket Camp like brings that all to the forefront. Right,
and shows it to you.
There's a literal representation,
a little heart that fills up,
of like your friendship level, and again, I think it's all a very like smart way to like gamify Animal Crossing, basically, like turn or like all or to
the game needs to be gamified,
to what's the word I'm looking for? Like almost like
it quantifies it or like makes it measurable.
Right, which is a really smart way to make it into a mobile game.
Yes.
Right, because a lot of mobile games are built on this idea of just like forward progression, acquiring new things, that like element of randomness and luck.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And like it's very easy to, you've got like the heart levels that you can see, obviously like how your friendship is doing, but also like when you're like, okay, I want to get Cherry to come to my campsite. It's very easy to see she'll come, but she needs these 4 pieces of furniture. And then you can just like go about crafting them however you need to. Like it's all there's a very like transparent and obvious like list of things you need to accomplish in order to achieve those goals. Which like I don't know, I almost wish, and I'm sure I would also be frustrated by it, but I almost wish that stuff were kept more invisible and you would just have to like sort of decide like, oh, maybe she would like this thing because it's cool and she's cool, or like it's red and she's red. Yeah, I don't know. It feels a little checklisty for me.
Yeah, it totally is. And that does kind of remove some of the magic of what Animal Crossing is. But I think I had to divorce myself from like considering this an Animal Crossing game, and it's a Animal Crossing like it's like a spin-off basically.
Yeah.
Right? So
which I mean in that way makes it very similar to Fire Emblem, that Heroes is a Fire Emblem like game. It's not really. It has a lot of the same mechanics. It's just not exactly the same.
I do think that this game is is Nintendo's best effort at like really easing you into the game, and also easing you into like it's paced very well, easing you into this idea of microtransactions.
Yeah.
Because the game is very like generous up front.
Yes. You get a lot of leaf
to level
tickets,
up characters, like all that kind of stuff. And then but they get you to spend all your leaf tickets so you can get KK Slider to come to your campsite. You have to spend 250 leaf tickets.
But it's worth it.
But it's worth it
because it's KK Slider.
But like the first few levels for any animal are really easy. It's like one pair, one app, and so you're playing, and then you kind of hit a wall, that is in any mobile game with this kind of like microtransaction monetization. where you hit a wall where you're like, oh, I'm either going to have to wait a really long time to try to gather all this stuff, or I could just spend 99 cents and,
get a bunch of tickets.
Get a bunch of tickets and do it right now.
Let me ask you this. Have you spent any money on Pocket Camp yet?
I haven't spent any money on Pocket Camp. And in general, I don't spend a lot of money on these like microtransactions.
Yeah.
And for a while, that was kind of like based on principle, where I was like, oh, I don't, that's not how I want to like reward companies.
There's a little bit of like, you're not going to get me.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
You're not going to trick me. I won't be fooled.
But on the other hand, I'm like, yeah, I have already put, I don't know, like 4, maybe like 3 hours into this game.
Yeah.
All told. So why wouldn't I give 99 cents to a developer, for like a game that I'm enjoying and I am playing?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, and like a weird like philosophical question of like, obviously these kinds of games aren't going away, right? Like microtransactions in games are, especially on mobile, like are going to exist. And if you're playing the game already, why not reward good game design with a couple bucks?
Especially for something like this, where it's not the gacha of Fire Emblem Heroes or like loot boxes in Battlefront 2 or anything like that. Like actually, I guess I don't know if the loot boxes in Battlefront 2 were randomized, but there's no randomization here.
Here's the thing.
You know what you're buying.
We've done such a good job of not talking about Battlefront 2. When I feel like every other video game show on the internet has been talking about Battlefront 2 forever.
I know. How lucky we are that they did not put it on a Nintendo platform.
Very lucky, because then we would have to talk about it. But no, I totally agree that the lack of randomization, that all you're doing is speeding things up, or spending your Leaf tickets on a known quantity. That makes it feel a lot less bad. And actually, that's how a game like Simpsons Tapped Out worked, where there's a very real, like, just one for one, what you're buying when you start throwing down actual money.
So I haven't spent any money on it, and I don't know, honestly, that I will play long enough where I feel the need to. But I also I wouldn't feel bad if I did. Because I think it's a good game. I think as far as Nintendo's mobile games thus far have been, it is by far my favorite. Like, I think presentationally it's the best. I think, just in general, I think it's like the smoothest experience, the most fun that I've had with one of these mobile games, even more than Mario Run.
Wow. I've put so many hours into Mario Run. And I know I will never get that close with probably any other mobile game that they put out. But yeah, I mean, I've had a hard time like forcing myself back to it. And I think once I can get myself into like a rhythm of like, oh, I should go and check my campsite or check what the animals are up to or whatever, that it will be rewarding. I just haven't, for whatever reason, it hasn't totally clicked with me as like a thing that I need to or can like come back to and really enjoy. Have you gotten to much like character customization or like getting outfits and glasses and hats and stuff?
One thing that I think I've bought a little bit. And I honestly can't remember if this was in the other game. So if somebody knows, please let me know. But one thing I noticed in this game is like, even though my villager I chose like the boy form, like I can buy and wear dresses. I've been doing that all the time.
I love it.
Yeah, and I think that's cool. My memory of it, and I could be wrong, is that in the other versions of the game, it's very binary.
Yeah,
it's like there's boys' clothes and there's girls' clothes. But and that doesn't seem to be the case here. But again, I could be wrong.
Right,
that could have been something that has always been in the series. But no, I haven't really even customized my van very much outside of like the first customization you get for free, and I did expand it. And again, that's another one where it's like they are really smart at the way they meter it out, because like the first expansion is like 10,000 bells, and bells are not that hard to come by. But like,
no, you're swimming in bells.
Yeah, so you can pay off your bell, like your loan from OK Motors, like the first one really quickly, but the second, like, it gets like steeper and steeper.
Yeah. Which is like I feel like that's a pretty big change from previous Animal Crossings, right? Where you always feel like you have this crushing debt from Tom Nook that you will never work your way out from under.
Right, but I think that's again like that's to ease you into the idea, and then once you get the second or third upgrade, then you are kind of in debt to the OK Motors guys. I also think that OK Motors is just a great expansion of the Animal Crossing world.
Yeah.
Like part of the fun of Animal Crossing is just the aesthetics and like the cute character design, and the OK Motor guys are really fun.
Yeah, agreed. And Apollo is new in this, right? The eagle.
Yeah, I think so.
I love that character. Like you were saying, most of like the value of an Animal Crossing game comes in just like how charming and like simple and fun and enjoyable the animal characters are. And I feel like Apollo is a perfect fit in this world. And like everyone else, it's a delight to just like run into them, and you get a little bit of like friendship level for just like being like, hey, tell me a story, or like, hey, talk to me.
And in that way, I think they really captured that aspect of what makes Animal Crossing so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like the characters a lot.
Did you choose cool, sporty?
Oh yeah,
nature. Like, what did you choose for your aesthetic?
I chose cool.
I get it.
Got to choose cool. What did you do?
I did natural.
Mm-hmm.
But when you know how you can build what do they call them? Like camps, like
the your
like
tent?
encampment, or whatever that is.
I don't think encampment is right.
I did,
or like the attractions.
Yeah, maybe it's attractions. But basically, like, you have to have enough like cool potion or powder or whatever that stuff
like
is.
Essence of
cool in order to build one. The only one I had enough essence of was cool. So it's like a natural campsite with like a black teepee that has flames on the side and a motorcycle parked out front.
Super cool. Yeah, I wonder how Animal Crossing games always like show their depth or like their value sort of like in the late game, right? Where like you've been playing it forever and there's still new stuff that you're encountering. I wonder how deep this play experience is.
Yeah, it'll be. Yeah, I totally agree. I was because we're only in the first couple of weeks of it, or like month, and like Animal Crossing, it takes into account what time of day it is, where you're located. But I'm interested to see, again, part of the fun of Animal Crossing is seeing your village in winter and seeing your village in summer, and like the changes in the music is different.
Yeah,
and to see that captured in a mobile app, I think will be really interesting.
I also really like that. I have not been playing this game a ton, but people are very eager to share their experiences with this game, and because it's just on your phone, it's super easy to take a screen grab and then post it to Twitter or Instagram or whatever. So it feels like a very social experience, even though like you can visit each other's campsites and give kudos and whatever. But I feel like as a passive experience, you don't even have to be playing this thing to sort of get the social component of the game, which I think is cool.
Speaking of the social aspect, like one thing I think this game does really well is you will go to the different areas, and they are all like different like climates, I guess, or like temperate zones. There's like a beach one and a forest one, and there's different items and things that you'll find there, and different activities you can do.
And a different animal friend that you will encounter.
But also there will just be a player, somebody else, another villager will be visiting that area as well.
Sometimes it's a friend of yours. Sometimes it's a Japanese person.
And it's super easy to make friends with them. You can visit their sites. You can you can give them kudos. They can visit your site, give you kudos. And obviously Nintendo feels more free to do this because there's no way to actually like interact.
Yeah.
Like
no way to like communicate freely.
You can't message them. You can't like troll somebody.
Right.
And
can't send pictures of things.
Yes, exactly. But it just makes it more fun, especially because one of the areas, like the quarry, is the way that you access it is by getting like 5 friends to like help you out by which just means that they like click a button that says like I'm lending a hand,
right?
Or you have to, or you can also spend, I don't know, I think it's like 150 Leaf tickets or something like that to get there. But just like removing that friction, even though they're strangers, of friend codes, and I've been able to like build my friend list because you encounter somebody, it's like, why not invite this person to be my friend?
Yeah, I mean, when that's what the whole game is about just like having friends and being able to see each other's campsites and stuff. But yeah, it's all of the like customization of the game. I feel like it does a good job of letting you be like to make aesthetic choices without being like vulnerable or like really, you're not really expressing yourself necessarily, right? But like you do get to make some like choices that mean something, and like I don't know, it does feel meaningful to have like a cool campsite or a natural campsite or whatever, and have some fun animal friends around.
The other thing I'm like finding with this game is that it's not one that I just want to like sit and play for hours.
Yeah.
I mean, and you kind of can't do that because there's cooldowns for fruit and like different things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But so when I initially played it, I kind of felt like the transactional nature of it was really crass.
Mm-hmm.
And so I didn't want to play it, but I was like, I guess I need to keep experiencing it so we could talk about it here. And I have found it to be the perfect game where it's like I'm watching TV or doing something else and then just kind of like sitting there, just fiddling with it, like picking up fruit.
Yeah.
I'm less actively engaged with it, but that's a more enjoyable way for me to play this.
Right. It does feel like it's not quite the like pick up and play for like a minute and then put it down. But also not really like a sit down and play for an hour. Like I feel like the sweet spot is somewhere in the middle of like play for 20 minutes while doing something else.
Well, like when you're playing Mario Run, or even my experience with my limited experience with Fire Emblem Heroes, was like you have to actively engage with those games. You can't. You kind of have to be focused on Mario Run.
Yeah.
And same with Fire Emblem. But with this, I didn't really have to pay all that much attention. I found it much, in that way, it was like an Animal Crossing game where I found it much more relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, there's no timer, there's no,
it's a consequence.
There's no pressure.
Game.
Yeah, so it's like, I could be playing for a while and then set it down and come back to it. It'll be interesting to see, speaking of which, it'll be interesting to see how this game handles leaving, like not playing for a long time and then coming back and playing. Like, are the campers mad at you? Like
right,
they
for
are
not being
when
around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they are when you abandon your village, or
yeah, I mean, we'll see. It is so interesting that like an Animal Crossing game like exists in real time, and most other Animal Crossing games, I feel like people, when the game comes out, people change the clocks on their systems and like see the other times of year, see holidays, whatever. But that's all stuff we're gonna have to experience in real time as we get to them, because these things are always connected to the internet.
Yeah, and this game has the possibility of just getting better.
Yes.
Right? Because we don't know, in regular Animal Crossing games, there are different festivals that you can attend, and they happen at certain times. And it'll be interesting to see, like if they're able to incorporate that into the mobile version.
Yeah.
Where, we have the holidays coming up, we have New Year's coming up. It'll be interesting to see if they do festivals in game and what that looks like and what it means.
Yeah, and if they change from year to year. Like, we obviously the new Leaf had a little bit of an update with Welcome Amiibo. But this is a mobile game. It can and should and likely will be updated regularly, which is sort of become Nintendo standard, right? Like we, in our Tuesday episode, talked about, new updates to Splatoon. And the week before that, we talked about new updates to ARMS. And this is just something that, this is like the Nintendo ecosystem now, which makes it feel less weird for this thing to be on phones and like have that sort of update, like constant update structure.
And I wonder if they will build any interaction between like a potential Switch Animal Crossing game, because you've potentially done all this work in Pocket Camp and built up like all this inventory and this character, and it's not your home, right? You are visiting. You're like managing this campsite, and you have a camper. But it would be. I wonder if in the future you'll be able to just like drive your camper into the new town.
Yeah.
Right on
and
Switch.
Then move on over to the Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. It's also. I mean, I guess we have seen these characters in like HD on the Wii U, that Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival game, which is it's like a board game that plays itself. But it's cool to see all these characters looking as like sharp and real and cool as they do on an iPhone screen. Because love my 3DS, but like everything on that screen appears a little bit washed out and all of that. So it gets me excited more for not really to come back and play it on the phone, but for whatever comes next, whatever form that is, that will hopefully be a little bit more laid back and more just like building up your town and like your role in whatever village.
I do think of all the Nintendo mobile games that have come out so far, this is the one that I could see myself returning to frequently and like in the future. Like I could see myself just absentmindedly playing this a year from now in a way that I don't see that for the other ones. It took like the big Remix 10 update for me to open up Super Mario Run,
and even that was only for like a week that we were talking about it, and then it's like, okay, now it's time to put it away. Like as soon as I got Daisy, I was like, okay, I don't need to.
There wasn't really anything else there, but this game, it just it feels different in that regard, and I think it's very successful for what it wants to do.
Yeah. We obviously it's too early there's no information about if people are buying stuff in it or what, but just from like a cursory glance of like my Twitter feed, it seems like a lot of people are playing this and having fun with it, and sharing friend codes and stuff like that. So let's all be Animal Crossing friends.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, that's going to close up our discussion of Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. Which in turn does it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. If you like the episode, please share, rate, review on Apple Podcasts, and tweet at us and email us. All that stuff is great. We are at NinCart Society. The email address is nintendocartridgesociety@gmail.com. All of that is great. We love interacting with all of you, and now we have another platform on which to do it, which is Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. That's it. If you like Mark and Mine's opinions on stuff, we write about comics on retconpunch.com. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can check out more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thanks for listening.
What's a Creative Podcast Network?